go through how we organize, group, and teach our passing concepts in our offense. So again, we do not organize our concepts necessarily by the stretch on the field or a specific defender, anything like that. What we do is we group them by how the quarterback reads the field and how he progresses through the concept. So we give our quarterback a structure on all five of these different families for what he's looking for, how to determine which side of the field we want to work, exactly how to progress through a concept, timing, footwork, everything ties into these. And that's been very, very good for us because the more things you want to run in your offense, I think you have to have an efficient way to teach it so that your quarterback doesn't have a huge learning burden, because it's tough, if you want to start getting into where you have 20, 25, maybe even 30 different pass plays or concepts in your offense, the learning burden can be pretty steep for a quarterback. So this has really helped us. I think when we do it this way, he's able to essentially break everything down to 5 concepts, really. So instead of having to know 20 different things, he just knows 5 different ways to read a concept, which family it falls in, and he's good to go. Makes it very simple for us. So the first one are half-field reads. So if you're any sort of a spread offense or you have any sort of passing package, I'm going to assume that you probably have this in your offense. It's just your basic half-field 2-man concepts. These would be, for us, this is it could be smash, it could be curl flat, it could be slant flat, post dig, post wheel, double slants, any of that kind of stuff. They have a traditional read key defender. And for us, typically that means that we're going to be reading one of 3 guys. It's either going to be overhang linebacker or safety, possibly a corner or a deep safety. And they can be mirrored. We don't do a ton of mirroring of these just because I prefer to have a backside concept of something coming into the quarterback's vision. And I like not wasting receivers because at Franklin we have a lot of really good receivers, and I hate wasting those guys on any play. But if you are going to mirror these concepts, you have to have rules to teach your quarterback how to determine where to go with the ball. And when we go against any sort of a too high or middle field open defense, our rule is to go away from the numbers of the defense. So if we're playing against a defense that's a 4-2-5, obviously we're going to be attacking the boundary, okay, because they're going to have their nickel overhang guy to the field. So we're going to attack where they only have a safety and a corner. If we go against a 1-high team, we're going to go away from rotation. So if they're going to rotate, starting too high and rotate to a 1-high, we want to throw back to the side that the safety rotated from. So if we're on the left hash and the safety on the left hash rotates to the middle of the field, we want to go to the left. If they come out right away in that 1-high, they just set that way from the start. We're going to have our quarterback try to figure out which one of those 2 overhang defenders is more of a DB body and a linebacker body, and we would prefer to attack the linebacker body. And when we go against teams that are playing man, we're going to find the best matchup. And that's on us as coaches during the week, when we're doing our scouting and watching film, is to decide and tell our quarterback, hey man, their corner over here is their best player. We want to stay away from him. This linebacker, if he's out covering over our number 2, we want to attack him because we think he's the biggest turd on the defense, right? He's slow. He doesn't have good footwork. There's no way he's going to match up. We want to attack him. And then we'll also attach these half-field reads to the backside of our numbers reads concepts, which I'll get to at the end of the presentation. So this is just where our QB is reading based off the movement of the boundary safety. And then lastly, several of these are used as our RPOs. So our slant seam, double slant, double hitches, that kind of stuff, they would all fall into this category as well, but we'd use them more so as RPOs versus true passing concepts. So here's one example of a smash concept. So this is one that we would run against a too high or middle field open coverage. So envision here that they're in too high safety defense. So we got a safety on each of the hashes. Safety on each of the hashes. And then let's say they've designated our offense's left side as the wide side of the field. So they're going to have a safety, a backer out here. And on the right-hand side, they're just going to have a safety in the corner. Okay, well, we're going to attack the right-hand side because we have a numbers advantage over here. We feel that 2-on-2 is an advantage for us because we're on offense. We're attacking. The defense has to react. So we have the advantage. If we're going against a 1-high defense, we're more likely to run something similar to this, slant flat, possibly a curl flat. And we're going to read the now inside from the corner to the overhang defender. And what we're doing is having our quarterback look to see which one of these guys is more of a linebacker type body, and that's the guy that we want to attack more often than not. And there are some concepts that we'll tell him, hey, man, we would like this one better into the boundary or this one better into the field. It totally depends on game plan and who our opponent is. And here's a good example of what we might run against a man coverage team. So here we've identified this guy would probably be some sort of a linebacker. Okay, we feel he's poor in man coverage. So what we're going to do is we're going to wheel our number 2, have number 1 run a pivot route right at him and force him to make a decision, either go under or over top, and see if we can get an easy one up the sideline. All right, the next read category for us are our scan reads. So this would be our full field across the board reads, and you can picture any sort of crossing route concept here. So for us, this is going to be our mesh variations and our Y cross variations. Okay, they're read left to right, right to left, straight across the field, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to have all 5 guys that are on the field in the route here. If the running back, we do a lot of different things with him. We'll just scat him out of the backfield. We'll play action with him and have him continue into a swing. We'll have him do a burst route from the backfield, which is kind of an arrow route from the opposite side. There's a lot of different things that we can do with this. So here's an example of a mesh concept. So again, read red straight across the field, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in this case, what we would do is we would have designated in our play call that the front side is to the right. That indicates to our receivers, obviously the play side is the right. Quarterback, you start your progression on the right, and you're just reading straight across the field. So if you look at the spacing, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the quarterback's eyes are going to start over here on number 1, and he's just going to gradually progress straight back across the field. So there's no jumping up, down, any of that. It's just straight across, right to left. And another variation of mesh, a little bit different, but exact same progression idea here. Doesn't change for us. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Again, now eyes would start at the corner route instead of the wheel like on the last variation. And he's just going to scan straight across the field. Very simple for us. We like running mesh. It's good, especially the previous slide that I was on. This one here, this concept's good against both man and zone. Like that one a lot. Definitely our most commonly used version of mesh. Next package. So object reads. So this is kind of our take on an option or a choice route package. We're always going to have at least one or more receiver running a route that adjusts based on cap. So cap is kind of the R4 term for coverage, alignment, personnel, essentially dictating coverage really. So we understand the quarterback knows coverage would be the vertical position of a defender. Alignment would be the horizontal position of a defender. And then personnel is just how good is that defender. And the big reason why we like these is that it gives us answers against the defense of the week that I'm sure several of you guys see on a week-to-week basis. We come out pretty often and start seeing things that we never saw on film. And that got aggravating. So we started putting plays like this in where we could adjust no matter what the defense was doing. It does take a decent amount of front-end loading, teaching this to your receivers, but once you get it, it's awesome, and you never have to worry about what a defense is going to come out in. And the other key to this is these are our replacements for 3 verticals and 4 verticals. We don't run true 4 verts. We don't run true 3 verticals. Okay, they're always in our choice package, which gives us answers so that you can't take it away from us as a defense. Our QB is always going to have a 1, 2, 3. Or in this case, it really does fall within the rhythm, read, rush type progression of R4. Number 1 is always going to be a vertical route of some sort, possibly a choice route. Number 2 is always going to be a vertical choice route no matter what. And then number 3 is going to be some sort of a check down, such as a fin or a fin read, a shallow or a burst route that ends up underneath our number 2 receiver. And these can be choice routes too, depending on which concept we're running. So an example of this would be our seam read concept. So seam read, I learned this one from Dub and Brady Walls back, I think in 2012, kind of at the ground level of R4. So it's what they call Seahawk. So Seahawk, the name Seahawk goes along with seam read. That's where it came from. So the idea here is this. This is your replacement for 4 verticals, what we run instead of true 4 verts. So we're going to run kind of a locked vertical package over here on the right side. So both guys are stuck on their seam and go route. Now we will give the quarterback the option to look at either one of these guys depending on coverage. So if he feels like I can hit H over here, we'll allow him to do that. Like say they're pressed and we have a lot of space back here. You know, we're big on reading space. We'll allow him to do that. So it's either one of these 2 routes is going to be number 1. And I prefer to have these guys locked on just running straight vertical because of the fact that the natural look off of getting this free safety to move and get off the hash or kick for depth so that we have more space in the middle of the field for our backside guy to work into if needed. The idea here on the backside with our Z is this. He's going to read the safety. So he's got a couple things that he can do. One, if the safety is going to rotate back to the middle of the field or bump down at all, he's going to continue right up the seam. He's not going to change his route at all. If that safety now were to start kicking for any sort of depth, his rule is this. The deeper the safety, the sharper your cut has to be. So let's say this safety is only going to get a couple yards of depth. And this guy makes his decision and his cut at from 10 to 12. So we tell him he needs to have his decision made somewhere in that range of 8 to 10 yards. So let's say he gets to 10 and this safety is only at 12 to 13 yards off. So he's real tight. Well, he's going to keep his cut very skinny so that he can take this vertical space up here. If this safety is going to get a ton of depth, we're going to break it off sharper, right? Because it's easier for him to break on any post route. So if he has a lot of depth, now your cut is going to be very sharp into more of a dig route. And the last guy in the progression is our fin read route. So his rule is this. He's reading the overhang linebacker. If this guy sits, you sit. If he wants to carry to vertical, you're going to continue carrying inside to take this space under here. So this is a very good concept for us. One that we run a decent amount. Can also be run at a 3x1. And again, it looks just like 4 verts, right? So flip our Y over here. He's going to end up in the exact same spot. No different than any other 4 vert concept with the exception of, you know, we have this underneath route, which a lot of guys don't do that. All right, next package are 3-level reads. So these are kind of your flood routes. That's how I would categorize these. Our sail concepts, boundary floods, that kind of thing. They're always read high to low. QB is reading deep defender to flat defender, and the progression is always the exact same no matter what the route structure is. So we'll mess around with these concepts quite a bit more than any other ones that we have. You know, we'll have different variations. We'll run it from bunch. We'll switch release guys. We'll do all kinds of different things to mess with the defense. You'll very rarely see us run the same version of sail or our boundary flood more than a week in a row. So for the quarterback, the progression is always going to be number 1 on a post. Number 2 is going to be some variation of a deep out or a deep cross. And then number 3 is always going to be some sort of flat control route. So I have 2 examples here. The first one is our basic sail concept. So quarterback comes out, okay, gets a snap. Immediately eyes are going to the deep defender to the side of the concept. Okay, so this safety right here. What we're looking for is the safety getting depth to take away the post or not. Okay, so let's say he does not get depth and we can hit the post. We're going to hit the post right now. If he does get depth and caps the post, now our eyes come down to the flat defender and we're just reading whether he chased to the flat or he carried 2 up and we're throwing opposite of him. Okay, so very simple for the quarterback, never changes. Okay, we could switch release these guys and the read would stay the exact same. Okay, we could be in a 2x2 formation where let's say we have our H over here and our tailback here. We could have the tight end running the sail route. We could scat the running back. Again, it does not change. And then we're always going to have some sort of a backside route that breaks into the quarterback's vision. So either a dig route, a post curl. We'll tag that up every now and then just to change up the look for the defense. The next one would be boundary flood. So this falls in the exact same category, exact same read. Nothing changes for the quarterback. Find that deep defender, the safety. Does he kick for depth on the post? Yes or no? No. Throw the post right now. If he does get depth, I come to flat defender and I'm reading, did he jump and carry number 2, or did he go with number 3 underneath, and we're going to throw opposite of him. And again, we have that backside route coming into the quarterback's vision, which could be post curl, some sort of variation like that. So those are our 3-level reads. Again, the ones that we probably dress up the most. A lot of fun to do that stuff. The last one that we have are our numbers reads. So these are kind of the 3-man version of the half field concepts that I talked about earlier. However, they are played off of the boundary safety. Our rules for these are this. We're going to have a man matchup / space alert to our 3 receiver side. It's going to be to one of the 3 receivers on that side. That means he's running a vertical route of some sort. Typically, it's going to be a go, a seam, or a corner, possibly a post route, depending on the defense that we're playing against. Quarterback always checks this pre-snap, and if he likes it, he takes it right now. And then we have a box alert to our single receiver side. So this would be, in our 4 terms, Dub's 1 cap, 2 cap rule. This is essentially just saying how many defenders do they have to that single receiver side. So for example, if we're on the left hash, what we're reading then is how many coverage defenders do they have outside the hash. So if they have a corner and that boundary safety wants to play to that side, then we would call that 2 cap. If that boundary safety is going to kick back to the middle of the field, we call that 1 cap. And we're always going to play away from that guy. And then we have a 2 or a 3-man concept tagged to our 3 receiver side. And now this is where we're going to start tagging those half field concepts that I was talking about earlier back to that single receiver side. And in order to do that, we're going to scat the running back to become our number 2. Typically, he's just going to be going to the flat. For the most part, we will run him on a wheel from time to time. A lot of different things you can do over there. It can be done out of empty, slightly different read. Something we can get into if guys are interested, maybe on another chat. That takes a little bit longer to go through. So QB's thought process is this. I come to the line, pre-snap, and I'm going to check my man matchup alert. Do I have it? If it's man coverage, we're taking it. Probably unless it's like a Hunter Wooler covering on number 3, right? We play Muskego just about every year in the playoffs. But really what he's looking for is the space, right? So if we're going to throw like a corner route, do I have space? Do I have space on a go route or a seam route? That's what alerts him to take it. If not, if I don't like that alert, now at the snap of the ball, I'm going to read the boundary safety. And if he plays to the 3 receiver side, okay, so that would leave us with 1 cap to the boundary. We're going to work that single receiver side. If he plays to the single receiver side, which gives us 2 caps, now we're going to work back to the trip side. And this does not change no matter what concepts we have tagged on each side of the field. So an example of this right here, we have our 3-man levels concept, okay, tagged on our trip side, and we have that corner flat concept that I was talking about earlier, and our half field reads tagged to the boundary. So the quarterback comes to the line pre-snap, and he's looking at Z. Okay, my man, if they're in man, I like it, probably unless it's, big number 24, Hunter Wooler covering him, then we might not like this one. If I like it, as soon as I get the ball, I'm going to boom, 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 hit it in rhythm. It's out. Okay, if I don't like it, I'm waiting until I snap the ball, and then I'm going to read the boundary safety. So let's say that on the snap of the ball, this boundary safety is going to play outside the hash, giving us 2 caps to this space out here. Now I'm going to be working number 1 to number 2. If he wants to kick the other way and play back into the middle of the field, like you're going to see from Coach McDonald at Kettle Moraine, some of his trips checks, right? Let's say they're playing solo. Okay, solo is where the boundary safety obviously is going to play back and match 3 vertical. So he's going to play here, leaving us with 1 cap to the boundary. Now I'm going to go 1 to 2 over here. So this process does not change, again, no matter what the concept is. We could have this, our levels concept. We could have stick. We could have snag. We could have slot fade. Any of those things tagged over here. On this side, it could be our corner flat. It could be slant flat. It could be post wheel. It doesn't make a difference. Okay, the process does not change at all, no matter what. So that's our passing game in a nutshell. If you guys have more questions, feel free to reach out to me. You all have my Twitter, obviously. Happy to sit down and meet with guys if needed. But I hope that helps a little bit, just how we organize concepts and kind of make it for efficient teaching so that the learning burden on our quarterbacks is minimized. So I appreciate you guys. Been a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed it.